Well, look who has another video. It's Ted from Planet LP and oops, wrong way. John from Planet LP. Hey, John.
Hey, Ted, and hey, inhabitants, thanks for joining us for another video moment. It's going to be a
Yes.
good one.
Yeah, a little short. This is our inhabitant recommendations that have come to us through our social media channels. And speaking of social media, always be selling this thing, right?
ABC, Ted. ABC.
Right, always be closing. Follow us on Facebook. We're at Planet LP. Instagram, we're at Planet LP Podcast. Twitter, The Planet LP. And the reason why I say follow us along, one, we want to get social with you, but two, if you have listener recommendations, inhabitant recommendations, send them our way because we like being exposed or essentially, I guess exposed is the right word, to new music. Send them our way and we will definitely listen to everything that comes in. We might not be able to feature it on one of these videos, but we will listen, right, John?
We listen. Yeah, when we say we listen, we mean it. In fact, Ted's right. Part of this exposure to new music is something that you've been doing for years, Ted, doing deep dives into various catalogs and different artists and unsigned bands. This is a great way to get some of the rest of us caught up to some of the bands that might blow up in a year or a month. You get to hear it here and you get to hear a little breakdown of their latest single or what they're offering to the public through some of the other, ancillary channels, as we say.
Yeah, or it's maybe the song has been out for a little while, and because we are just awash in music, it is very hard to keep up on the amount of music that is coming out. There's just a lot of music out there. So send them our way, and we may feature it, like I said. And speaking of featuring some songs, the first recommendation comes from Funky Visions. This is actually a friend of mine, Doug Davies, but he goes by the handle on Twitter, Funky Visions. And he sent me this band, essentially the recommendation of this band back on September 10th, 2021. I just want to make sure in case anyone's watching this in 2022, they're thinking,
or 2025 in some weird time capsule. Right.
Like I know. Yeah. So let me share with you a very quick screenshot of my reaction on Twitter. This is a direct message. And that was my reaction, John. So expletives included.
Well, let's see it. I love when I see that or hear that reaction, or you text me something and go, dude, we just found something. I found something I know you're going to like. And 9 times out of 10, you're right.
This is the band Dirty Honey. They come out of Los Angeles, California, and they have a very throwback sound. And here's a little clip of their song, California Dreamin'. This is right in our wheelhouse, isn't it, John?
Are you kidding me? Starting with the 1968 Mustang Fastback that starts the video off and you hear that thing shift from third to fourth gear and it's just tearing off into the dirt. There's so much to like about this song. I'm talking about so much to like about this song.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me? There is more Les Paul per mile in this tune and this band and their album, but I just don't want to knock this over. My
No,
roadie
no,
has
that's a
fallen off, so I better make
Price
sure I
Price
said it
Gibson.
correctly. Yeah. Hey,
Right.
yeah, Spencer, next time make sure my guitars are lined up easier for me to grab. Thank you. Anywho, I don't even know where to start except to say that this kind of rock and roll, Les Paul, Marshall Stack, riff bass sound with a lead singer who can jump all over the place is something we've all been missing, if you ask me. And if you look at the reaction from YouTubers underneath the video for California Dreamin', you'll see people, 19-year-olds, I'm 19 and I've wanted rock forever. Thanks for bringing rock back. And I thought that says something about what the music industry is giving younger people. Maybe they need a little more Aerosmith in their life. Maybe they need a little more riff-based, Axl Rose-ish lead vocalist kind of thing. That's what I heard from it. I was air guitaring in my backyard for an hour to this song.
I loved it from the moment I heard the song because, again, it was right in our wheelhouse. And yes, you referenced Aerosmith. That's what I heard from the guitar riff. But I also heard a lot of Axl Rose with the singer and just the drum and bass work. My God, these guys have got that foundation down. This is a very tight melodic rock band with all the ingredients that sound just like 1988 or something like that, or even 1978 or 75. But
you brought this up in a previous cast about bass players when we were talking about Paul McCartney from the Beatles, and you said he was kind of the progenitor of bass players who play, like a lead guitar.
Yeah.
Well, this I'm going to say John Notto is his name. Their bassist, no, excuse me, Justin Smolian, the bass player.
Yeah,
the guitar
Justin
player is John
Smolian,
Notto,
right.
and he's amazing. But Justin's bass playing, if you just listen on California Dreamin', just isolate the bass if you can, or just pay attention to the runs this guy's doing. And I'm thinking, this is the kind of session bass playing we do hear in a lot of pop music. But man, it's been a while since some rocker could play that bass like a lead bass. He's not just posing on stage with a big pick running the E string, smiling at everybody. This guy's all over the place.
And maybe pointing every now and then, right?
Yeah.
Pointing at the audience. Hey, you.
This guy is going to school you on how to play the bass guitar. It's just almost funk-like. It's reminding me of John Taylor, some of these bass players we've highlighted on the cast. It's so cool to hear that again, I'm sure this guy's probably 21 years old.
Sure.
And he somehow is steeped in that tradition of, no, I'm not going to play the E string while the guitar player gets all the glory. You know what I mean?
Well, the interesting thing about the band is they are unsigned, and they had a #1 hit back in 2019, and it was on active rock radio. I live in a part of California where there are no active rock radio stations, no mainstream rock. It's all classic rock where I live. Now you live up in the Sacramento area, so you have 98 rock, and that's where you've heard California Dreamin', right?
Right. And real quickly, when I heard, I'm driving in the car where I have that little, my display in my car that'll show who the artist is and what the name of the song is as it's going into it, because I'd never heard it before. And I thought, Dirty Honey, God, that's a great name for a band. California Dreamin', what they're covering California Dreamin' from 1968. And because I'm hearing the riff, I'm thinking, that's the raddest version of California Dreamin' I've ever heard. But for those of you who are old like I am, this is not the California Dreamin' that your mom and your grandmother were rocking out to over a barbecue.
Not at all.
Hard rock.
It's hard rock, but it's kind of it's sort of the dark underbelly of California, because it's talking about not all the fun stuff, and all the great stuff that makes California kind of an ideal, but it's talking about sort of the problems of the state in some way, or just this ideal of California, because, there's, they talk about paranoia and things like that. So it's a very 2020, 2021 song. It's not all the leaves are brown.
All the leaves are brown. Right. What does this remind you of? Hotel California. In a weird way, there's that tie into the dark side of the myth of sunshine and fun and dreaming and partying. And even that dirty Mustang as it's driving out in the middle of some kind of desert part of California. They're not driving to the beach, dude. We're driving out in the middle of nowhere. We probably don't have enough water and our cell phone doesn't have any reception.
We talked about some of the band members, but just to list them, that's Mark LaBelle on lead vocals. John Notto
for a lead singer. I'm just saying, wow,
he's got it down. I mean, that is rock and roll right there.
Right.
John Notto on guitar, excellent. Oh my God, what a riff! Riffmaster.
Right.
You talked about the bass player Justin Smolian, and then Corey Coverstone on drums. Isn't that a great rock and roll name? Corey
Can I please change my radio name to John Coverstone?
Yeah,
I just think there's something about, you guys are, if you went to rock and roll college to figure out how to get this thing done, you're doing it right.
And I'll change mine to Teddy LaBelle.
And our producer will be named Patty LaBelle, but that's beside the point. ultimately, just let me say one real brief thing about John Notto, their guitar player. This is another reason I love this kind of music, because if you listen to the studio version of California Dreamin', the one you're going to hear, you heard snippets of on this program, you hear the lead break. This guy's an incredible lead guitar player, but because he's such a great rhythm guitar player too, he's playing against himself in the recorded version. And that's rock and roll.
So my takeaway on this band, of course, I talked about their influences. I hear a lot of Guns N' Roses, Black Crowes, Aerosmith. As I said, they open for Guns N' Roses. They open for The Who. They open for the Black Crowes. If you want aggressive guitars, if you want a lead singer whose voice oozes swagger and a solid 4 on the floor rhythm section, but also very melodic. And you talked about the bass player is like, wow, this is great. You're going to want to cover yourself in Dirty Honey. That's really what you're going to want to do. Just cover yourself in it. Because
until the bees take you away to their hive.
Exactly.
Right.
So I mean, that's my takeaway on it. What about you? You want to cover yourself in Dirty Honey?
I do. You know what I want to say too? What a great name that is for a band. They've kind of got the whole package so far. Now, again, I haven't listened to everything they've recorded, but the snippets that I've had, and obviously I've listened to California Dreamin' almost on a loop for the last week. They have got a great name. They have a great sound. They look like they present well. They understand that they're rock stars. They've got that thing going on. There's a swagger to them that's attractive rather than off-putting, which it can be. Sometimes that like toxic male, I'm so awesome, is a little gag me with a spoon. These guys seem to have it kind of figured out. They're young and they're appealing to people who've been dying for this kind of rock music for what? 10 years, a generation of us who grew up with Aerosmith and Kiss and Zeppelin and some of these other great bands that we just took it for granted. That's what rock bands sound like. Thank goodness the Black Crowes came along and kind of, gapped us a while before we could find a Dirty Honey. But I'm a fan. I'm going to join the fan club, and the next time you see me, I will be covered literally in Dirty Honey.
Me too. I think we're going to be the Dirty Honey twins. So how they got their name?
Dirty and Honey.
Really quick, how they got their name? Apparently, I'm not sure exactly which band member. It might have been the lead singer, Mark LaBelle, but he was listening to an interview with Robert Plant, who was talking about that one-off album that he did in the 80s under the title The Honey Drippers.
Yes.
And he said that the name just sounded dirty to him. That was what Plant said. So they thought, Honey Drippers, Dirty Honey, Dirty Honey. Okay, we're going to go with Dirty Honey. So I love it. Yeah.
It's just a great band name. There's no way it's just dirty, baby. Let's rock,
Really?
Come on.
Absolutely. And we're American, but let's affect the British accent and let's rock it. So, all right. So
We've been known to do that. All right.
Yes.
Cheers.
So cheers, Dirty Honey. Good job.